Welcome to the Real Life Weight Loss Podcast, where we cut through the confusion and get down to the truth about what really works for real people when it comes to losing weight, having incredible health, and a body that you love. We believe that losing weight is really about gaining life, doing things you never thought you could, having renewed confidence, and enjoying your body more than ever. I'm your host, Corey Little. Now let's get to it. Hello and welcome back. This is episode number 303, and today I'm going to explain how to find the right diet for you. I'm going to teach you how to find the diet or weight loss program that is best for you and your specific needs and your specific desires and your situation. And within this episode, there's also going to be a few big truths. That's a difficult word for me to say. Truth, T-R-U-T-H. There's going to be 2 or 3 of those that can be really helpful, not just in finding the best weight loss solution for you, but also just for you to take with you moving forward in life as you strive to improve your body and improve your health and maybe lose some weight along the way. So they will be part of this episode. But before I get started and we dive into all of that good stuff, I just want to say another big thank you. Thank you for helping this podcast hit 1 million downloads. There's never been any paid promotion or advertising, and all of those downloads are because of you amazing listeners, and your willingness to come back week after week and spend a little time with me, and also to share these episodes with your family and or friends or coworkers or whoever you share it with. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you. And as a way of thanking you, I'm offering for any and all of you to download 2 free lessons from my Live Life Lose Fat program. That is the step-by-step program that we use inside my Inner Circle coaching group, and it's the foundation of what I do and what I teach. Now, there's just 2 free lessons. There's a lot more than that inside the program, but it at least gives you a little idea. It gives you a feel of what we do and kind of the way some of the things are set up in there. So if you want to take advantage of that, scroll down to the show notes. You can download that there. There's a link for it. I think it's CoreyLittleCoaching.com/free. And then I have a few other free things that you can take advantage of. A menopause download for any of you amazing ladies who are in that phase of life. And there's a handful of other things as well. So you can find all of that in the show notes. Now, without further ado, I know it's the middle of summer and everyone's busy and on vacation and doing all kinds of great things. I hope you're having a wonderful summer here in Georgia, where I live. I had someone message me the other day and they said, "I'm just curious, are you from Alabama?" And I said, "No, any other guesses?" And so we had a fun little interaction back and forth with them guessing pretty much every southern state except for Georgia. Georgia was one of the last ones. But I am from Georgia, born and raised. I live in Georgia. And here in Georgia right now, it feels like we're on the face of the sun. It's hot as crap. And so I don't know how the weather is where you are, but I hope you're doing well and having a great summer. Now, without further ado, let's get into this episode. How to find the right diet, the best diet or weight loss program for you. And I want to start with one of those truths that I mentioned earlier. It doesn't matter how amazing or perfect a diet or weight loss program is if it makes you miserable, or if you hate doing it, or if you just won't do it, or if you can't keep it up long term. It doesn't matter how perfect it is. It doesn't matter how it just is perfect for your body type, or all of the science shows that this is the best and most cutting edge way to lose fat and to burn fat and lose weight. It doesn't matter if everything you read from everyone says this is the best thing and this is what you have to do and this fixes your metabolism and this is how you reduce inflammation and this is amazing. It doesn't matter if it makes you miserable, or if you hate doing it, or if you just won't do it, or if you can't keep it up long term. None of those other things matter. So if you came to this episode, and if it's your first time here, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. But whether that's you or you're a longtime listener and you came to this episode thinking that Corey was about to explain all the intricate science behind burning fat and weight loss and why keto is better than Whole30 or the Mediterranean diet, and this is better than that, and why we should or shouldn't do intermittent fasting because of all of the detailed science, if that's what you're expecting, then you're going to be disappointed. But here's the thing. I hope you'll hang around, because what I'm telling you is more important than any of that science. I was about to call it mumbo-jumbo science, and it's not. It's real. I'm all about the science behind things. I mean, heck, I have a degree in nutrition science. I love science. But it doesn't matter how perfect the science says something is if you won't do it. And so here's the next truth. And this is something that no one in the diet and weight loss industry will tell you, because they want you to think that their thing, their diet, their program, their weight loss solution, that it's special and it will fix your body. That's what they want you to think. So they don't want to tell you this. But this is the truth. Get ready. If you're a note taker, write this down. Nothing works. And everything works. Corey, man, what is wrong with you, dude? It must be really hot in Georgia because you're just saying crazy stuff. Maybe you're dehydrated. You're saying stuff that doesn't even make sense. It's true, my friends. Hang with me. I'm going to explain it. Nothing works and everything works. Nothing works if you don't do it, if you won't do it consistently, and if you won't or cannot keep doing it or some version of it. Then nothing will work. So let me be clear. Let me say this one more time. Nothing, no diet, no weight loss program will work if you don't actually do it. Do it consistently and then keep doing it. Keep doing some version of it for the long term. Now, at the very same time, just about everything will work if you do it. If you do it consistently and you keep doing it or doing some version of it long term. And this is why you might feel so confused, because you know someone who lost a bunch of weight doing keto. And so you're like, yeah, it's got to be keto, man. Keto, I know one or two people, they lost a bunch of weight. But yet at the same time, you also know someone who lost 50 pounds with Weight Watchers. And Weight Watchers isn't keto. And it's like, wait a minute, I thought keto was the ticket, but now maybe Weight Watchers is better. And then there's your sister's coworker or that lady that lives down the street who finally was able to drop their weight after a bunch of struggles, and they swear by eating low fat and working out with weights 4 times a week. And it's like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Which one of these is best? Which one of these works? It's so confusing, right? And that's because everything works and nothing works. So I say all of that to bring us to the central question of this episode. And that is, what will you do? Forget what's better. Forget what your neighbor did. Forget what someone else did. Forget about the amazing fat burning properties of this or that or all that stuff. Forget about all the shoulds. What will you do? What will you do consistently enough to get results? And then here's the big, really, really important thing that most people don't think about. What will you keep doing long term? We can't just fix our weight loss problems in 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Well, I did it and I dropped the weight and I'm finished. Now I can get back to my normal life. The whole concept and idea of getting back to our normal life is the very thing that brings back the body that we don't want. It's the very thing that causes us to regain weight. Sometimes it's deep in our brain and we know, like, if some of you are like, oh my gosh, he nailed it. That's my whole thought process. I want to get rid of this weight so I can get back to life. Sorry, that's not how it works. But for some of you, it's not necessarily, it doesn't bubble up in your brain that way. And for some of us, it's a slow slide back to our normal life. We have to completely kind of revamp our lifestyle in some ways if we want to keep the results that we achieved. And so the question here, again, is what will you do? What will you actually do consistently enough to get results? And then what will you keep doing at least some version of in order to maintain those results? And there are tons of options out there. Like I Googled just to see if there was a bunch that I was missing. I'm sure there are, but like if we just go through some of the most popular ones, we have Keto, we have Paleo, we have Atkins, we have intuitive eating, which, by the way, as I go through this list, some of these I'm going to point out aren't even really intended for weight loss. They're for other health properties. For intuitive eating, for example, right? That's the main goal. Like, I'm not saying intuitive eating is bad or it's wrong or that it can't be effective for weight loss. But intuitive eating's main goal is not necessarily to help you lose weight. It is to improve your relationship with food and in a lot of ways improve your relationship with yourself and to better learn your hunger cues and to better learn when you're full and what's behind your eating choices, right? There's a lot. We have a big element of that in my program, but my program is not intuitive eating. It's more of a hybrid. But intuitive eating, my point is this. Someone may start intuitive eating with hopes and with a goal and hopes and dreams of losing a bunch of weight. And it may happen, but it may not. Intuitive eating, that is not the primary goal. Keto, Paleo, Atkins, that is much more weight loss focused. The primary goal of those programs is weight loss. Please remember what I'm saying here, because I'm going to circle back around to a point related to this later. Let's keep going through the list. We have the Mediterranean diet. We have intermittent fasting, Whole30, which again, kind of like intuitive eating, it's not necessarily meant for losing and keeping weight off. Whole30 is just a kind of a fancy version, a dressed up version of what us nutrition scientists and dietitians would call an elimination diet. And an elimination diet is to help you understand how your body reacts to different foods. If you might have an intolerance to certain foods, or if certain food causes you to feel bloated or to really tank your energy levels, or, various things, various physical symptoms you may be experiencing might be caused by a food you're eating, but you can't haphazardly introduce and eliminate certain foods. There's a very formal process for this, and it's called an elimination diet. In Whole30, that's basically what it is. And because we're eliminating so many potential trigger foods with Whole30, some people are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because they start losing weight and they start feeling better. But the point of Whole30, the entire purpose of an elimination diet, is not to lose weight. Kind of like with intuitive eating. You could lose weight, but that's not the goal. Now, on the flip side of that, if we keep going through the list here, we have Weight Watchers. It's in the name. If you sign up for Weight Watchers, you know, number one, that you are signing up for a program that is geared towards and focused on weight loss. And then number two, you're going to be watching your weight. Like I said, it's in the name. So if you have a problem with the scales, if you have a strong emotional bond or connection to what they say or don't say, or what they tell you or don't tell you, then Weight Watchers might not be the best option, because you're going to be watching your weight on a very consistent basis. I'm not saying that's right or wrong or good or bad. Again, all of this is for you to decide for your particular situation. But in contrast to Whole30 or intuitive eating, Weight Watchers is very focused on weight loss and on watching your weight and weighing on a regular basis. If we keep moving through the list of popular diets here, we have, becoming a vegan or becoming vegetarian. Again, like intuitive eating, like Whole30, not necessarily a weight loss program. A lot of people that go, so here, let me try to explain this the best way I can. If someone says, oh my gosh, I've got to lose weight, I really want to lose weight, I'm going to go vegan or I'm going to become a vegetarian, it could happen. But that's not what those diets are necessarily meant for. I know a ton of people who are vegan or vegetarian, and they're overweight and they haven't lost weight. And I'm not making fun of them and I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying these diets, if you understand the science behind them, they are not necessarily aimed at or focused on weight loss. Matter of fact, a lot of the people who are vegan and vegetarian choose to do so because of ethical or moral reasons that they have and they feel deep in their heart, right? It's a cruelty to animals sort of issue. It's something related to that, and it's not even weight loss focused. So if your primary goal is weight loss, I'm not sure that I would recommend going vegan or vegetarian. Could it help? Could it lead you to weight loss? Yeah, sure, potentially, but it might not. If we continue with a list here of a bunch of different options and a bunch of different things that you could do in hopes of losing weight, we have tracking your macros and counting your calories. Okay, so we're at kind of the heart of everything here. If you track macros or count calories, some would argue this is the most scientifically sound way to approach weight loss. You basically figure out, hey, what's my baseline of calories, and then let me adjust my macros or protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and let me strive for losing weight that way. And again, from a scientific perspective, this is pretty golden. Like you can't get much more science-based than this. The problem is, in our modern day and age, this is a little bit easier than it used to be 15 or 20 years ago, because now we have apps and you can scan stuff and QR codes and all that stuff. But it's just incredibly cumbersome. It is so aggravating to do each and every day. And remember, when the question I asked earlier, what will you do? What will you do consistently? And what will you keep doing some version of? And almost everyone I know who has tracked macros or counted calories for any period of time, they're like, yeah, I learned some stuff, but God, it's so aggravating. I don't want to keep doing that. I want to do something else. I've had a number of people join my program and they're like, yeah, I've lost weight in the past. I tracked my macros for 6 months, or I counted calories for 3 months, and I lost weight, but I hated it. And when I stopped, I gained it all back. And so tracking macros and counting calories is the polar opposite of some of the other options I've listed, in that it is hard. It can be focused on weight gain or weight loss, but it is hardcore. It can be hardcore focused on weight loss. But the question is, will you do it consistently, and then will you keep doing some version of it long enough to maintain your results? Let's keep moving through the list here of other popular options. We have going gluten-free or going dairy-free. Again, not necessarily focused on weight loss. Just because you cut your gluten out doesn't mean you're going to lose weight. Just because you cut your dairy out doesn't mean you're going to lose weight. Might it reduce inflammation? Might those be trigger foods for you with maybe some physical symptom you're having? Might you have a sensitivity to gluten or a sensitivity to dairy, and your body you don't have a full-blown allergy like where it would make you sick and you would have to go to the emergency room, but maybe you have a sensitivity where you maybe just don't feel that great, or it upsets your stomach. Sure, maybe that's the case, and maybe cutting those out would help with that, but that's we go back to Whole30 and the elimination diet. That's the type of program that's meant to help you determine your trigger foods. But some people don't want to go through that huge process because it is so aggravating and so complicated. And so instead, they'll just go, hey, I'm going to cut out gluten, which, again, is pretty aggravating and pretty complicated. I was just talking with a client, and they were telling me, that their doctor recommended they cut out gluten because they had just been diagnosed with a certain autoimmune disease. And the doctor said, cutting out gluten might help. And they were saying how they were trying to cut out gluten, but it was, oh my gosh, it was so incredibly difficult. And I was like, yeah, it really is. I said, I might circle back around to your doctor and say, is this like a must that I cut out gluten? Because you said it might help. Is it just we're hoping that it will help? Because cutting out gluten can be a really tough thing to do. Dairy may be a little bit easier, but again, if your primary goal is weight loss, maybe these aren't the best options for you. Maybe these aren't the best way to go. You can try it, but the primary focus is not weight loss. Let's move through just a few more and we'll wrap this up. Maybe you want to go low fat or low carb or high protein. Again, this kind of circles back around to tracking macros. These are all macros: carbs, protein, and fat. Those are your 3 primary macros. And you can track those, and you can eat a lower fat diet, or you can eat a lower carb diet, or you can focus on eating more protein. And there, some version of this can certainly lead you to results. But again, it comes back to that issue. If you're tracking very meticulously, tracking your macros, tracking how many grams of fat you're eating, tracking how many carbs, is it something you will do and do on a consistent basis? Now let's bring it around to one of my favorites, the good old detoxes. I'm going to detox. This whole concept, think about it, friends. I get it. We've all had that weekend or, 2 or 3 days or maybe vacation where we ate and drank way too much, and maybe we just feel crummy and we feel like we're full of sludge and mud, and we have brain fog and we have no energy, and it's like, man, I just need a reset. I need a fresh start. And that's the promise of a detox. Ooh, when I get back home, once this vacation's over, once this long weekend's over, I'm going to do a detox. I'm going to do this 7-day detox, and just clean my system out. Okay, I hear you. I know. I've been there. I've been there where I want to do something. I've not necessarily wanted to do a detox, but where I have that same desire. I want to clean myself out from the inside out, right? Detoxes are not the way I would encourage you to do that. I know that's what they promise, but that's not necessarily the best route. And then the problem is, for some of us, it's not just that we want to kind of reset our system from the inside out. We are hoping to lose weight. We're using a detox. And a lot of detoxes will even promote this. We're hoping a detox will kickstart our weight loss. It will, be like a jump start to our metabolism. And that's just not the way it works, my friends. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of someone, and I'm not trying to like fearmonger here, but there are some detoxes out there that are just really not that great. And sometimes they even land people in the emergency room because there can be an electrolyte imbalance, or there can be all sorts of crazy stuff that goes on. If you look up, and I don't know, I say if you look it up, it may be out there, it may not. It may be from my conversations with doctors and so forth. I'm pretty sure that detoxes are the number one diet or dietary program that lands the most people in a hospital or in the emergency room. Again, I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to say, oh, these things are terrible and evil. Not at all. But they're not necessarily that great. And the problem is we believe exactly the opposite. We think they are great, and we think it's going to help, wash away all the sludge inside our system after eating or drinking too much. Not necessarily the case. So, and they're definitely not meant for weight loss. Okay, now let's move forward. There are all these programs I mentioned: Whole30, Weight Watchers, Vegan, Vegetarian, Keto, Atkins, tracking macros, going gluten-free, all this stuff. And there's countless other programs from your local gym and companies like Beachbody, Advocare, and Plexus. But it all comes back around to that central question. What will you do? What will you do consistently enough to get results? And what will you continue doing, at least some version of, long-term, so that you can keep your results? Because let's be honest, what's the point of getting results if we just lose them? What's the point of losing weight if 6 months from now you've gained it all back? So here are my specific recommendations for you. If you're in a place in life where you're like, yes, I want to lose weight, and man, Corey, I get what you're saying here. Like, this kind of makes sense. Well, so here's my recommendation. Number one, investigate whatever weight loss program or diet you're looking at. Investigate it. Investigate what it is. Don't just look at it. Look at a few different ones. Don't take my word for what I shared in all of these things. Investigate keto, investigate Atkins, investigate intermittent fasting, investigate my program, investigate other people's programs. Investigate them. Look at them. Don't just read what that person tells you. Don't just listen to my podcast. Go read what other people say online. Go look at what people who have been through the program say. That's the beauty of this online world that we have, right? With the internet, there's so much information out there that you can access if you choose to. So investigate whatever solutions you're looking at. And look specifically at this. Look at what they're asking of you. Perfect example. If you absolutely love carbohydrates, keto's probably not the best option. That's probably not a great thing. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're like, no, man, I love higher fat foods like bacon and cheese and meat, okay, then maybe keto would be a great option. So you can see here, by looking at what the diet or weight loss program asks of you, you can begin to learn a lot better if it's something that would make you miserable or that you could keep up with. Think about this as well. Think about, is there any sort of a structured progression with the program? This is something that is somewhat unique to my program, but certainly other programs have it. But in other words, are you starting full throttle on day one? Do you have to change your entire life? Or does it start gradually and does it build? Investigate whatever you're looking at. Specifically look at what they're asking of you, and maybe look to see if there's any structured progression. So that's number one. Then the second thing that I encourage you to do, and this isn't really 1 and 2, these are just 2 things. You don't have to do these in this order. The second thing that I encourage you is to be sure to look for something that addresses exactly what you want. This is, oh my goodness. This is one of the biggest things that I think people miss. I mean, maybe this whole episode people miss, but if I were in your shoes, if I were out there in the weight loss world and I hadn't lived in this world my entire life and I didn't have 2 degrees related to all of this stuff and multiple certifications, then I would probably be just like you. The thing is we fall victim, like we get sucked into marketing that sounds amazing, when in reality, we need to push back. Number one, again, investigate what a diet is or what a weight loss program is, what they're asking of us. Look at all that. But then also, number 2, we need to be sure. We need to be sure to look for something that addresses exactly what we want. Then you may go, well, Corey, I want to lose weight. That's why I'm listening to this podcast. I hear you, but there's way more to the whole health and weight loss solution than just losing weight. So let me just go through a few things here very quickly. Are you looking to lose weight at all costs? Are you like, man, listen, dude, I've got a wedding coming up. My daughter's getting married. My son's getting married. I'm getting married, whatever the case is. I've got a wedding coming up in 6 weeks, and I want to be in amazing shape for it. Amen. That's amazing, and I encourage you, but you need to find something that is like full throttle weight loss at all costs. Like, suck it up, do it, get the weight off, and who cares after the wedding, right? You'll deal with that when it comes. or who cares after the high school reunion, or who cares after the summer vacation, whatever it is, if you're shooting for a specific thing and you want to get as many results in as short as time as possible, you need to look for something that promises that. I call that weight loss at all costs. Now, on the flip side of that, we have what I would argue is like a more holistic approach, where you are not only striving to lose weight, but you're also working on your relationship with food. You're also working on your self-confidence, your what we like to say, feeling comfortable in your own skin. We're looking at, a more holistic viewpoint of actually embracing, instead of like feeling like you're forcing yourself to do a diet, of embracing the process and learning to make different choices instead of just forcing. Those are two words you've heard me talk about before on the podcast. Embracing the choices instead of forcing. Boy, I said choice weird. Embracing the choice instead of forcing yourself to do some diet. That's a more holistic approach. You're probably going to lose weight a little bit slower, but you're doing so much other deep mental and emotional work at the same time. And then we have other programs that are more fitness-based, where it's not just about, the mental or emotional side and your relationship with food and losing weight and all these things. It's as much or more about gaining muscle and gaining strength and gaining physical abilities. Like, man, I want to be able to run a 10K. Great. That's amazing. You need to focus more on that. There are some weight loss programs that have a very heavy, not literally heavy weights, but they're predominantly based on like a strength training component, right? Like there's a bunch of working out that's involved. And then there's other weight loss programs that maybe have they provide guidance when it comes to exercise. This is kind of how my program is. They provide exercise guidance, but it's much more about the holistic stuff with food and understanding food and our relationship to food and, becoming comfortable in our skin and moving from force to choice and those sorts of things. So do you want to lose weight at all costs to get ready for an event or a special thing? Do you want a more holistic approach that addresses things and gradually builds over time, addresses a bunch of things going on in your mind and in your heart and with your relationship with yourself? Or do you want more of a fitness-based program where, I'm going to make some nutritional adjustments, but I really want to gain muscle, I want to gain strength, I want to be strong, and I want to be able to hike for 10 miles without getting tired. I want to be able to run a 10K. I want to be able to whatever it is that's important to you. Or is there something where you want that's more appearance based? It's like, you know what, Corey, I want to lose weight, but really it's only about 10 or 12 pounds I want to lose. And if I get super, super honest, it's not even this 10 or 12 pounds. I want to be able to see the outline of my abs. Or maybe you don't want to see your abs. Maybe some of you laugh at that. Maybe you're just like, hey, I just can't stand the way my thighs look. I would love it if my thighs were tighter and leaner. I would love it if I could lose some weight off my midsection. I can't stand my belly. And so that's a more appearance-based program. That's a more appearance-focused goal. And you're looking at maybe what we call body recomposition, maybe gaining a little bit of muscle but losing fat in a certain area. Now, there's a problem with that. I've talked about this in other episodes. You can't spot reduce. So if your whole goal is to lose your belly, you can purchase a program that's specifically for that. I'm afraid you might be disappointed, but it would be better for you to purchase a goal that's aimed at losing your belly fat than to just jump on Weight Watchers hoping that'll do the trick. So the second point here is to be sure to look for something that addresses exactly what you want. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need to first establish and identify exactly what it is you want. And for a lot of people, they don't have any clue. And if you don't, it's okay. I'm not calling you out. But we need to identify what do we really want, because a lot of us just go, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Okay, but what's beyond losing weight? Like, is it that you hate your belly? Is it that you just beat yourself up mentally all the time about your food choices? Is it that you feel crappy and you don't have any energy and your joints ache, right? Like, what is it exactly that you want? And then look for something that addresses exactly what you want. And there are a bunch of other examples I could give within this, below the big, grand, broad goal of weight loss. There are a bunch of other smaller, kind of more niche goals that I could give, but that's a good, quick summary overall. So here's the last thing. I'll say this and we'll wrap it up. It's important to understand that you can or might accomplish a little of each of those specialized things with any of the approaches. For example, if you just focused at losing weight at all costs, well, you'll definitely probably lose some belly fat along the way. If you're focused on a more holistic approach in your relationship with food and things like that, of course, you're going to lose weight, and you also might gain a little muscle along the way. If you're just focused on body recomposition, you may also learn something about yourself and how, when your discipline's high and when your discipline's low and how to kind of, work through things. But while you might get a little bit of a side effect, if you will, of the other things, your entire program, if its primary goal is one thing, well, everything else kind of falls by the wayside in pursuit of that. And that's one thing I try to be very honest whenever someone contacts me with a very specific goal. I'm like, look, it's important for you to understand if we do this, if this is our primary aim, then we don't really have the time or space or energy to worry about this other stuff. So, okay, enough from me. Let me wrap this episode up. I hope this was helpful, my friends. I hope you've hung in there with me and that the truths that I shared made sense, and I hope it was helpful. I hope my 2 very specific tips for you give you a little bit of a framework and guidance to go find the best weight loss solution, maybe the best diet or fitness program for you. And I hope you'll share this episode with someone. I hope you'll share with them in the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, however many. I hope all of you will discuss it because I believe you'll get so much more out of it if you do that. I also hope you'll take advantage of some of the free stuff that I have for all of you amazing people. Just scroll down to the show notes and you'll find links there for all of that. And last but not least, I hope you always remember and you never forget that there's so much more to you than a number on a little machine that sits in your bathroom. So please don't let the scales dominate your headspace or dictate your mood or your emotions for the entire day. No. You're so much more than that. You're so much more than a number. And losing weight's incredible, and I would love to help you lose weight, and I hope this podcast has helped you lose weight, but I want you to please understand that losing weight is about so much more than just seeing the number on the scales come down. Losing weight is really about gaining life and living the life you've always wanted to, and I know you can do it. Even if you've tried and failed in the past, it's okay. You keep coming back. I'll keep working on you. We will build your belief. You can borrow my belief in the meantime, but we will build your belief and build your confidence, and we will get you there. Okay, my friend? Okay. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.